How does Belize stack up against the rest of the Caribbean from an investment standpoint? In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys some of the core data points in comparison of Belize with the Caribbean and also Caribbean versus the world. If you're a real estate investor looking to invest into the Caribbean, then this is a video you're going to want to watch. And you might be asking yourself, Will, how did you get all this data from all of these different Caribbean countries like Anguilla, Barbados, Bahamas, Aruba? The list goes on. Well, I'm fortunate to be the regional owner for RE/MAX in Belize, which means I oversee all 13 offices here, all 110 agents, and that actually got me an invitation to an amazing conference, which was the Caribbean Hotel and Resort Investment Summit. So it was Chris and Ola. So we went to these really cool summits and got all these amazing data points for you guys, and I'm really excited to share them with you. So let's dive in. So starting with the big picture, so a 33.2% increase in tourism sector contribution to GDP. So the recovery of the Caribbean continues to outpace most of the world, and you guys are gonna see that in this presentation. 300,000 new tourism related jobs in the region, so 13.4% of the region's employment, and a 2x is forecasted growth in GDP and employment over the next 10 years. So the question is tourism important? Is it relevant to the markets there? Yeah, the answer is it's pretty damn relevant, and it's probably one of the biggest contributing factors to just about every one of these countries' economies. So it's really important that we look at this data. First and foremost, we have the regional tourism rebound. You guys might have heard of something called COVID-19. It happened a while back. If you didn't, then you were probably living under a rock, or maybe in a country like Belize where you were just out fishing. So COVID-19 recovery is one of the most important things for us to look at in the travel trends. And here we have the Americas, Caribbean, Europe, Africa and the Middle East, and Asia Pacific. And what this is going to show you guys is that the Caribbean has had the strongest recovery. Now we might still be at -1% from where we were in 2019 Q1 to 2023 Q1, but we're well ahead of the Americas, excluding the Caribbean, at -22, Europe at -25, Africa and the Middle East at -7, and Asia Pacific at -52. So first and foremost, a great recovery. Now next slide here we have your RevPAR recovery trends. So that's revenue per available room. If you've ever looked at any hotel investment or boutique resort investment, RevPAR is a term that you're gonna see often, and it's a very key indicator for us to look at here. And our RevPAR recovery trends, first on this slide, we have Americas, Europe, APAC, and the Middle East. And you'll see that the strongest recovery there is the Middle East at 27, Europe at 9, and APAC and the Americas at -1 each respectively. And then when we go here, we have South Florida, the Mexican state of Quintana Roo, and the Caribbean, and you'll see that these are much stronger recovery trends for these areas. So South Florida is at 28%, the Caribbean is at 29%, and of course, Quintana Roo is at 36%. So really strong recovery trends on the revenue side of bookings, which basically that's essentially driven by your occupancy rate and your room rate, which we're gonna get into a little bit later in the video. What about profit trends? Well, again, we have Americas, Europe, APAC, and Middle East first here. And you'll see once again, Middle East is the strongest recovery from a profit standpoint at 31%. Then you've got 2 zeros with APAC and the Americas, and then Europe at -1% on the profit recovery. Here we've got the South Florida, Quintana Roo, and Caribbean powerhouses. So Quintana Roo at 25% on the profit trends, 32% for the Caribbean, and 39% for South Florida. So just some indicators of how far the recovery's come, even though tourism is at -1, what you guys are gonna see as we go through the data, our revenue per available room is up and our profit is up. And that's really possible because our room rates in the Caribbean are going up. So our first key takeaway is that the Caribbean has outperformed the recovery trends of other destinations in the world, as you guys just saw. The region outperformed the global market regarding revenue and profit in the tourism and short-term rental market. And the Caribbean and Central America region is expected to have an annual tourism growth rate of 5.5% to 6.7% between now and 2030. Wow, that's a lot to digest. let's take a minute and just appreciate all of this amazing data before we dive into the next section. So now we're looking at Belize. We're looking at Q1 versus Q1 2019 versus Q1 2023, like we just looked at, and boy oh boy do the numbers look good. We're currently at plus 16% increase from 2019, where we were before COVID, for Q1 2023. So the recovery has been strong, to say the least. How does that fare against other destinations in the Caribbean? This is a really interesting slide. So again, all of this is Q1 2019 versus Q1 2023 data. So Turks and Caicos has seen a 12% increase, Jamaica 3%, Dominican 4%, Curacao 6%, Puerto Rico 3%, Guadalupe 18%, Antigua, well, you guys get the picture, you can read this. But overall, we fare quite well compared to other areas in the Caribbean, and you can see it right here. Some areas in the Caribbean have seen a decrease. I don't have the exact specific reasons for why that is, but that would include areas like Bahamas, Cayman, Bermuda, BVI, St. Lucia, and Trinidad and Tobago. So we stack up really well. And of course, that data is Ambergris Caye specific within Belize. Now, Caribbean rates and occupancy is much stronger than other regions. So on this slide, what you guys are gonna see is our ADR and our occupancy rate for the Caribbean region. So it's compared to Canada, United States, Mexico, and the Caribbean, basically everything in the Americas. And what you'll see is that the Caribbean average ADR is $404 with an average occupancy of 73%. The next best is Mexico with an average occupancy of 63.3%. 184 on their ADR, that's their average daily room rate. 151 for United States with 59.3%, and Canada 129 with 57.4% average occupancy. So very strong data for the Caribbean. And here's your regional occupancy trends 2019 versus 2023. So what you're looking at now is the regional occupancy for the Caribbean as a whole, and you can see it's being compared from 2019 to 2023. So average occupancy for the region of 71.8%. This is of course, again, Q1. You can see slight decrease in every month. How does Ambergris Caye Belize shape up against that? Well, you can see our comparison here. So average, again, 71.6. So when you compare, we're slightly below. But what's really interesting is looking at the increase we've had from Q1 2019. And it's actually quite astounding to see the big increase Ambergris Caye has had. So great insights on the recovery of Ambergris Caye. To sum it up, you've got your Ambergris Caye stats, 10.3% occupancy increase from 2019 to 2023, and the region is looking at around a negative 1.5% occupancy decrease. So when we look at Ambergris Caye specifically, the recovery trends look fantastic. Here's your regional ADR. Now again, we're looking at the Caribbean here. So you're seeing actually quite large increases, like we said, in your average daily room rate with an average of 384. And then here's your Belize average daily room rate, or Ambergris Caye, I should say, so 287. And again, much higher than where we were in 2019. It's really come a long way, and I don't expect these trends to change. I think as this market continues to evolve, just watching some of the development that's going on in Belize, so much more luxury is being brought into this market. The type of traveler is changing while we're still keeping the same base of travelers that come to Belize. So it's a really exciting time, and we can watch this unfold right before our eyes in real time while we're here. So again, here's your summary stat. ADR increased 36% for Ambergris Caye from 2019 to 2023, and for the region, about a 29% increase. Now we have our global profits. So this chart compares Q1 2023 versus 2019. This is a percentage change on profit of total revenue. So for the Caribbean, you can see there's a slight increase there. And this is in our average daily room rates, occupancy, and RevPAR. I don't know if you guys want to pause this and take a deeper dive into some of that data. Feel free to. And then our Ambergris Caye unit revenue, again, a 37.8% increase. I hope you guys are finding this stuff interesting. We really enjoyed looking into this. So what are our key takeaways? Well, Ambergris Caye tourism specifically outpaced the Caribbean region. Takeaway one. Takeaway 2, the Central America Caribbean region, including Belize, has a higher ADR and occupancy rate than other Western Hemisphere or anywhere in the Americas like Mexico, Canada, and the US. 3, Ambergris Caye occupancy is on pace with the rest of the region. However, the regional occupancy is still recovering in tourism. So Ambergris Caye for Q1 2023 was exceeding expectations and exceeding the region in terms of growth. Ambergris Caye ADR growth has exceeded regional growth at 36%. And overall, right now, Ambergris Caye outperformed in revenue when compared to regional averages. So that's kind of the summary on this larger picture data presentation for you guys. I hope you found it interesting. There are some really interesting factors that we're excited to look at. And if you guys want more of these data videos, throw a comment down there, let me know. As always, we appreciate you guys watching the videos, and we'll see you in the next one, and hopefully out here in paradise soon and not looking at data maybe on the boat or something fun.